All right, welcome to Ranting and Raving. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. So today, going to talk about the first week of training camp, which pretty much has been through right now. So after a week, positives, few negatives slash concerns. Obviously, all this comes from the perspective of an outside observer. So all I have is footage that has been captured, clips, reports, etc. And we'll kind of be going off of all of that and my thoughts and impressions. So definitely want to start things off positive because actually I think there are some positives, and I want to start at the top of things so far. And obviously, long season, there's a lot of time, a lot of things to go through to formulate a more informed opinion. But based on what we're aware of right this minute, I like what I'm seeing from Kellen Moore. We know his scheme is good. We know he's a pretty good play caller. What we don't know is who he is as a head coach. We know he's not a big bombastic personality like Sean Payton was, and you don't have to be a successful head coach. There's a dozen different ways to lead people. Um, I'd say the two most consistent traits that good leaders have is communication and planning. Having a structure, having a vision for where you want to go, what you want to do, how you want to carry it out. Um, you can't really wing leadership, especially organizational leadership, which a head coach needs to have. And through the first week, there is very clear and very obvious intention behind everything that Kellen does. And it could not be any more far from the structure and style of operation when Dennis Allen was the head coach. Practices are formatted. All of training camp is formatted. It's been pretty obvious. The goal has been to, maximize their focus and the amount of reps and the amount of time on task they get, while also trying to be mindful of, as my cat's being a terrorist, being mindful of, you know, fatigue, being mindful of the natural ramp up period that needs to kind of happen over camp to minimize injuries, which so far we really haven't gotten any reports of any major injuries, which is new territory for the Saints. Um, you take all that, you take the sports science approach that they're having, but then you also look at the clips. For the most part, the team is flying around. They're playing fast offensively and defensively. They're playing hard. The players are talking about that. They're taking the time. They're coaching guys. Like, all of those are positives. All of that is positive. Now, it's also, that's kind of the minimum. That's what you should get from a good head coach. That's not like, oh my God, he's the next Bill Belichick. But it's really, really important to hit those basics. The basics of leadership, organization, vision, planning, working with a team, all of those things are all the reasons why Dennis Allen was an abject, absolute fucking failure. Like that's the separator. It's not because he doesn't know football, because he doesn't know how to lead. He's not wired for it. He's not capable of it. And he was actively awful at it. Kellen, so far, I'm liking what I'm seeing. Now let's go from there and talk players. So obviously, the biggest question for camp, and it's going to be the biggest question for preseason, and honestly, it's going to be the biggest question for the regular season too. What's going on at the quarterback position? Now, week one would have you believe that there are three candidates to get the starting quarterback job, but there's not. It's two. No person who watches football and knows football after 3 years is going to think Yeah, let's start Jake. We've seen Jake Hader start. It was horrific. We've seen Jake Hader play in preseason, which has been an entire bucket of meh. Nothing to inspire you, nothing to make you think maybe there's more there. He looks great in camp. When you're not really in pads, there's not really any pressure, and you kind of know what the defense is doing. Gotcha. It can look pretty good. But we know he's not really in the race. So it's really about Spencer Rattler and Tyler Shuck. Shuck has yet to have a great day, but he's had some great plays. Like I think it was on Friday, he made a throw to Juwan that was just fucking beautiful. Is it the greatest throw I've ever seen? No. We watched Drew Brees play for 15 years. I've seen better, but it was a beautiful throw. Great feathered, layered in shot right over the defenders, between multiple guys, hit it right on the spot, threw it to his, old college teammate, Juwan Johnson, tell you how old he is. Sorry, that was a shot. No, it was a hell of a throw. And he's had some other really good plays. He's had a couple of scrambles, had some other good plays that are like, without question, highlights. Um, on the same day, Spencer Rattler had the best day any offensive player has had. Like, showed all the things that would make someone believe the talent that he had in college, that had at one point him pegged as a number one overall pick, and the talent that he showed last year under some pretty insane circumstances is there. And there was clear development on the things that he needs to work on, namely processing, which you expect, second year players should process faster than a rookie, especially a rookie who has very limited experience. So nothing wild or outlandish, especially during the first week of camp. Check in week 3, week 4, end of the preseason, etc. Like, where has Shuck developed? Where has he grown? Where has Spencer developed? Where has he grown? Different conversation. We're talking week 1. Week 1, Rattler's had the best day, no question. He's had the only truly great day, any of them. But everybody's been up and down. And again, some of that you expect. You have a first year player and a second year player. It's a new offense. You're going to see some of that in camp, like because it's a new offense. Everybody, like, there is no, oh, well, Jake Hader is more experienced with the playbook, or this guy's more experienced. No, no, no. Everyone's new. This playbook is new to everybody. They're all on an even playing field. So miss me with any of that. There's going to be, bumps in the road. There was a play yesterday in camp where I saw some people like, oh, it's a bad throw by Rattler, blah, 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 blah. It's like, no, you dummies. The receivers ran into each other and threw off the timing, and he basically placed it where he should have, where only his guy could have got it to, but also in doing that when the guy wasn't there, threw it away, which is the correct play. And rookie Rattler probably tries to scramble there and make something happen, and it could have ended up into being a boo boo. Bad play. So, like, that's actually growth. That's, to me, that's a positive play because the quarterback did the right thing within the circumstances. The two guys that ran into each other did not do the right thing. That's part of what you have training camp for. It's first week, shit's gonna happen, stuff will get cleaned up. Like, not worried about it. Again, Shuck, very talented, not that experienced, and it's showing so far. Rattler, very talented, a little bit more experienced, stylistically, a little bit more of a an operator type. So he's got some advantages early on. We'll see how it goes over the next couple of weeks and into preseason. I think preseason is going to be the big decider, especially over who starts early in the season. But that's where we are after a week. Not done with the positives yet. There's two other positives I want to hit on really quickly. One, I was not high on the Stuntsman pick at all. I did say his athleticism is certainly intriguing and interesting. I always like to leave myself an out, but I wasn't high on it. I wasn't blown away. This is a great pick. This is our linebacker of the future. And I'm certainly not there yet after a week of training camp reports. Remember that Mason Tipton and has had some time this year. He was the unguardable last year in training camp. As it turns out, it's just because our corners were all ass. Stunsman has been really good. His athleticism that was there in college and showed up at the combine too is showing up in camp. He's flying all over the place. He's reading things. He's showing all the signs of a guy who you this is what you want to see from a rookie that could be a breakout player early. Is hit the ground running, things are clicking for him. He's letting his talent shine through, and he's looking like an impact player. If that continues through the rest of camp and into preseason, you simply cannot play Pete Werner over him just because Pete's a vet. You just can't. Not on a defense that is lacking in athleticism and intensity and impact players, especially in the front seven, and especially like in that first 15 yards area. You just can't do that. That would be so beyond stupid. If he's playing like this by the time you hit, week one against Arizona, I don't give a shit how much you're paying Pete. Stunton needs to be a major part of the game plan because the stuff he's doing, Pete has not done. Pete has not done these things in training camp. He's not done them in preseason. He's not done them in the regular season. Doesn't mean he's a bad player, but I doubt they're going to bench DeMario. If they're only going to run two linebackers, Stutzman needs to be one of them. Just a weekend. But if this trend continues, like you play the best players. That's just what you're supposed to do. Anything other than that is asinine. That's how you have Zach Bond go out the door. Cedric Ellis, or not Cedric Ellis. What's the other linebacker who left to go to the freaking Falcons? Who was also better than Pete when he was here, and then was 100 times better than Pete last year. I'm brain farting on his name, but it'll probably come to me right after I get done recording. Regardless, um, that's the positives to me. Here's the negatives. Number one, no wide receivers are making any plays of note outside of Rashid Shaheed and Chris Olave, and that's expected, but it's still concerning. Um, like Bub Means had his first play yesterday where he did something like you need him to have an impact. Like to be an impact player is a bit much of an expectation, but he's got to do something. Like you need someone over 6 feet and over 190 pounds that you can rely on. And Juwan's making plays, and Kellen, I think, will do a far better job of scheming open the tight end than Kubiak did. Um, and I think that either Rattler or Shuck will do a better job of throwing to him and Carr did. But at the end of the day, like Juwan is Juwan. He's not a physical player. He's not a chain mover. Like he doesn't fit that role. You don't have that role, in this offense right now. We don't have a guy that's going to go get you, 6 catches for 70 yards, but they're all first downs. Juwan might give you 5 catches for 110 on a really good day because he's got a couple of big plays, but like that's not who he is. Never has been who he is. Expecting him to be that in was it year 6 or whatever it is, not going to happen. So not seeing anybody fit into that spot is definitely a concern. Donovan Peoples Jones got a bigger body, brought him in, hasn't done shit. Yeah, I mean, there's been some. Might stop it. There's been some Mason Tipton highlights, but again, like until he does things in the regular season that matter, as far as I'm concerned, he's a camp superstar. So I just don't care. Um, Brandon Cooks is my height. I've actually met Brandon Cooks. We both went to Oregon State at the same time. Not a big dude. Nice guy. Not a big dude. Like, not going to fit that role. That's a concern. Penning has been put on his ass constantly. Now, pads aren't on, and the type of guy he is, and just that type of position in general, pads and no pads are two completely different things. He's also learning a new position, getting his feet right, getting his timing right, all those types of things. So again, week 2, week 3, maybe they're different, but as of right now, he spent a lot of time on his ass, and we don't need a second Ruiz. We already have one of those. Um, so that's concerning. The pass rush. Now yesterday, a lot of reports said the pass rush had a really good day, which is good. But for the most part, like guys aren't doing much there. Obviously, once pads come on again, we'll find out more. Would love to see that be something week 2, week 3, going into preseason, etc. But it's a huge area of concern. The corners are a huge area of concern. Quincy Riley's made a few plays. Um, Kool Aid hasn't been his name hasn't been said a lot, which is a good thing. Alante still a mixed bag. I think it's obviously from a narrative perspective. It's unfortunate that Tyran decided to retire. Um, from a purely play on the field perspective, I think it's probably an upgrade. It's definitely an upgrade, like in the athleticism department, and like he's still a super smart vet and incredible instincts, and he's probably a Hall of Famer. So, like the guy that's in your head when you think Honey Badger, an icon. The guy that we had last year just isn't that guy anymore. Like Father Time's undefeated. Nothing against him, but it was time. Cam, you're next on the list, buddy. But that's pretty much my impressions. I don't want to go too deep into the rest of it, but like just to kind of sum it up, Rattler currently clearly has the lead, which I kind of expected just from level of experience, style of play, but also like something that hasn't really been talked about enough. Shuck's got a ton of talent. Period. Like arm talent wise, Shuck has a ton of talent. Rattler has just as much talent. Like if you're talking arm talent, touch, layered throws, crazy arm angles, huge arm, like all that kind of stuff. Rattler can do all that stuff. And stylistically, he's more of an operator style than Shuck. Like I've seen some people say, like, oh well, like reading defenses and processing and all this and that. It's like no, 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 no. That is not who Shuck was in college. Like that is not at any point what he was. He wasn't that at Louisville, and he wasn't that none of the years before. Rattler was more of that at South Carolina than Shuck ever was in college. You only have college film for Shuck. Shut the fuck up. You're pushing it. You want to talk about agendas? That's pushing a fucking agenda. And that is the last thing I didn't want to talk about really quick. I almost didn't, but fucking, I'm going to talk about this. I don't care who wins the starting quarterback. Like, I have a personal preference for Rattler because of style of play. If Shuck wins it, great. I hope he wins it outright, and I hope that he balls the fuck out and the Saints impossibly win 12 games and make the playoffs, and everyone who is negative, including me, looks like an idiot. I would love for that to be the result. But what I don't need is hyperbole and bullshit in my training camp coverage. I just don't need that. I don't need narratives. I don't need crap. I don't need making shit up. I don't need obfuscating facts and details. And I damn sure don't need people who are presenting things as analysis who intentionally refuse to cover any of the context around things. And I'm going to give a really quick, easy example. So, yesterday, like was said, was not a good day for the offense at all. Period. Some people covering, it wasn't just one person, multiple people. Some people covering the team made it sound like Rattler was horrific, was terrible, couldn't play. Problem is that like there is like tape and footage of these practices that are available, and there's highlights, and like there's more people there than just people making these statements. Here's what it actually was. The offense in general was poor. They were out of sync, they were unorganized, they made mistakes. Rattler was fine. He wasn't great. Friday he was great. Sunday he wasn't great. He was fine. Multiple touchdowns, threw some couple of great throws, threw a fantastic throw to Juwan against a blitz. The one I mentioned earlier, like, oh, that's an incompletion. He was X of Y. Okay. But that's not an incompletion because he did poorly. The receivers ran into each other and he correctly threw it to the right spot, which in that situation amounts to throwing it away. It was in no way catchable by the defender, and if the offensive player had gotten to that spot, they probably catch a touchdown. That's a plus rep for the quarterback. Positioning it as, oh God, he was terrible. If your job is to summarize what happened and communicate it accurately to other people, you suck at your job. And that's the crap I don't want to see in any direction from camp coverage, period. It's cool for fans like me. I can be a big mouth and talk my shit and say dumb stuff because no one takes me seriously. When you have like an actual paycheck and you're not just doing this for fun because you like to hear the sound of your own voice, hi, it's fucking obnoxious. It's ridiculous. And in some cases, kind of pathetic because there are people who 100% have an agenda and have an axe to grind and didn't like the way some of that coverage and the fan reaction was last year. And so they're trying to push things. And is some of that coming from the top down and maybe coming from Mickey, who's already come out and said that he kind of wants Shuck to be the starter, even though, like, yeah, he played seven, he was in college for 7 years, but he only has like 26 or something starts, 26, 27 starts, like, not a ton. Yeah, yeah, that's problematic. Look, if the kid comes out in week 2, week 3, all the way through camp, through preseason, stacks and stacks and stacks and builds, and at the end, like, even if it's even, cool, start the second round pick. Until it's there, you cover the facts as they happen. And if you can't provide better analysis, then hey, here's a video. He missed the throw. It's all his fault because he missed the throw. No other factors happen on a play, even though you have a video. So I could just be an AI summary of the video and be more valuable than my writing on it. Like, that person. That person. We don't need that bullshit. This is a bad team with very little to be positive about. We do not need people who cover the team shitting on players, with one exception. If you want to shit on Ruiz, he's earned that. I'm half kidding because we really need him to live up to his first round billing. But like, for all the negative coverage Trevor Penning gets, Ruiz was just as bad last year, and he was more of a vet and has just as actually has more of a pedigree and less excuses. But that's neither here nor there. I'm just sick and tired of the hyperbole and the bullshit in coverage. And Rattler is obviously a huge piece of it for a bunch of reasons. There was a lot of divisive stuff in the building and in the fan base last year. There's a lot of dumbasses who just have these wild declarative statements who don't actually know shit about football, who wanted to make a lot of statements last year, which is fine. Idiots are everywhere. I mean, we had a guy drafted in the NBA a year or two ago that said Paul George is his goat. Like, stupid people exist everywhere. Absurd, stupid people exist everywhere. It's not a new thing. It's whatever. When you're a professional and your job is to cover the team, yeah, you actually do have a responsibility to cover things accurately and as objectively as you can. If Rattler has a shitty day, okay, Rattler had a shitty day. Here are the ways and reasons in which it was shitty. If you're not doing that, oh, well, he sucked because he went, 50% on his passes. Well, three of them were broken up and two of them were throwaways. Guys ran the wrong routes. So, like, he was but not bad. Those are very different statements. The second one's accurate. And if he is ass, like the interception he threw the other day, or Stuntsman, which, by the way, again, Stuntsman, really hope this is not just in a camp breakout and like this guy's a stud because that would be so awesome. We have not had a good linebacker outside of DeMario in a long time. Would be huge. That play was a bad throw. It wasn't a bad read. The read was right. Cedric Wilson was open. Rattler made the right read. He needed to arc that throw more and throw it to the back of the end zone rather than throwing a line drive. He threw a line drive, Stuns made an athletic play, and picked his ass off. Bad play. Covered as a bad play. I don't give a shit if I like the player or not. Facts are facts. Cover the facts. Don't tell me, oh, he was awful, reminiscent of where he was in the second half of last year or any of that kind of garbage. Kiss my ass. In training camp, when things are scripted, where you're working on things, where you're doing install on a new offense, that's not apples to oranges. It's apples to fucking ghost peppers. These things should not be compared in any way, sense, shape, or form ever. But I'm just an angry guy on the internet. But I think that's enough ranting and raving. Got that one off my chest. More coverage to come. Hopefully, like I said, hopefully things continue to trend in the right direction. And as pads come on, we get more and more good news, and the Saints can surprise us this year. So, more coverage to come. Hopefully, more good things to come. And if not, well, you know what I'll be doing.